Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. As always, I hope you guys have had a great day so far, great Thursday, great evening so far, as we're about to enter our last day of the work week, which is Friday, April the 29th. I'm expecting it to be pretty active in the category of severe weather. Not really speaking of an outbreak of severe storms, but whatever storms do form tomorrow, especially into Oklahoma, maybe even portions of Texas and Kansas, they can be rather intense. There's two areas we're really going to talk about and try to focus in on, try to figure out what's going to happen. We're pretty much in range of all short-range models, obviously being 24 hours out, but there is a chance for some significant severe weather across the southern and central plains tomorrow. So if you guys have not subscribed, man, it would mean the world if y'all do. I really would appreciate it. Like the video if you do like it. Growth has really slowed down, which, like I always say, I expected it to. But there really hasn't been a growth in subscribers or anything like that. But we're just in the changing of the seasons. Not a lot of major things to talk about. Usually the tropics, hurricane season, and winter weather normally get everybody amped up. Severe weather, unless it's in highly populated areas, doesn't necessarily do that. But thank you guys for continuing to tune in regardless, and I really appreciate it. If you guys got anything I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it. Gives others an opportunity to do so too. So let's definitely do that. And you folks have definitely been doing so, and I really appreciate you doing that. I've definitely been praying over every single situation, and appreciate you guys praying for me this morning with the unspoken prayer request. But let's get going here. Tomorrow there is an enhanced risk. It's extended a little bit further south. It's a tricky setup. We had this kind of setup last week where all the dynamics are there. We have a lot of ingredients that really could come together to create a dangerous environment. Well, really they are going to be in place, but will these significant severe storms really form? Will these supercells form in these areas where you have a lot of dynamics in place, including the favorable wind patterns, the favorable thermodynamics, talking about heating, the dew points, the high level humidity levels, think of it as like that, and then basically the surface heating. You got plenty of that. Everything's in place. It really is. So enhanced risk. This is including a very small section of southeastern Nebraska, a very large area of basically central to east central areas of Kansas, and then basically northern and north central areas of Oklahoma. It doesn't quite make it into Oklahoma City, but this does include Tulsa. Don't focus solely too much on where the outline is. Just know that there's going to be a chance of significant weather, then a very large slight risk that extends all the way back into portions of central Nebraska. Tornado threat is there. 5% risk in this brown area, 25 miles on any given point. In this yellow area that you see black dashes going through, this yellow area is a 10% chance of a tornado. And along you have a hatch risk basically inside of this 10% risk, saying, hey, there's a 10% risk of not only a tornado 25 miles in any given location, but the chance for a significant tornado, which is basically an EF2 or higher tornado. Wind threat is there, but that's definitely not the highest threat level tomorrow. A big threat level here is the chance for significant hail. Listen, where these storms do fire in these areas, right into here, right here. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Where they do form, there's going to be a chance for some very large hail, talking about that gorilla hail that we like to use in the weather community. So very large hail, maybe baseball size hail, where these storms do fire up. I don't know why it switched on me, but 30% chance right here in this region of basically the same region that tornado threat just about. And then there is a 10% risk inside of this 30% risk of larger hail, in excess of 2-inch diameter or larger. So let's talk a little bit about what is going on. The sun's setting, so you'll see a little bit of darkening on the eastern U.S., but you can see where there's some storms going off right here in Nebraska, even portions of Kansas and northwestern Kansas, where there is some storms firing up, but we have that slight risk in effect. So there's convection blowing up here, and you can see the towering cumulus clouds really firing off here in central Nebraska. And then you look at radar scope and response, you have some pretty gnarly storms out here. This one has that look to it. It has that hook. This might get a tornado warning issued with it any time here, pretty far southwest of Hastings, Nebraska. This is a pretty intense storm I'm actually kind of interested if there's any storm chasers on that. Let's see if we can pull it up. And I can't get that to pull up right now. I'll have to mess with my settings. But this is probably a very photogenic storm right here, way out in the middle. I wouldn't say nowhere, but it's slamming Alma right here, Alma, Nebraska. So this is a very intense storm, kind of straddling that Kansas-Nebraska state line, and then some intense storms well up here north of Columbus, Nebraska. So, but this one's kind of on its own, and it's very intense, producing very large hail. I'm sure it is. So there's ongoing severe weather right now, as of 7:17 Eastern time, so 6:17. So by the time some of you watch this, obviously it will not be real time. So as we're looking into tomorrow, morning, getting into midday, some big storms starting to pop off here in southern areas in Nebraska, and we keep this rolling. But you notice nothing ever fires up down here in Oklahoma and even Kansas per the latest HRRR model. They finally kind of get going in areas of eastern Kansas, well after the sun goes down. But I think that as we get into tomorrow, the next few HRRR model runs, the NAM runs, I think they're going to start showing up some bubbling up of some convection down here. I really do. As we get a little bit closer to the near term, which is tomorrow, I really think the models are going to start to try to figure out that, hey, there is going to be an eroding enough of what we call the cap for storms to form in this area. And I've been talking about cap a lot over the last 7 days with these continuous setups over the middle of the country and southern plains. And there's going to be a large cap in place, meaning, sure, you got all these dynamics in place down here, but are they going to pop up? Well, the storm's going to pop up. Well, they're not going to pop up if you have a stout cap, which is basically an area of stable air that prevents the updrafts from getting past a certain level of the atmosphere where they can take advantage of all the energy above that stable air. So we have to watch that. But, I really think there's pretty much not a question that we're going to have big-time convection blowing up here with maybe some kind of linear setup, maybe a supercell storm mode early on here in southern areas of Nebraska, but then quickly going into more of a linear mode, meaning a line of storms. And, you take a little bit closer look at Nebraska with this setup, and this just looks like a big blob, a line of storms that really does develop here. But, of course, you start to get down here in Kansas, and I'm just kind of doing this on the fly, guys. Normally I have about 1 million panels pulled up. But as you're getting into by the time the sun goes down, it's getting into about 9, 10 p.m., you're starting to have a little bit of development of storms per the latest long-range HRRR model, but there's not a lot of guidance showing big-time supercells exploding in this area. There really isn't. Whatever supercell was here quickly turns into more of a line of storms and then kind of drags down into northern portions of Oklahoma. You look at the NAM. The NAM's kind of the same way. It really pops these storms up a little bit further south tomorrow. You see these storms popping up here in northern or northwestern areas, central areas of, I'm saying all these directions, but basically in this region right here of Kansas, you got a big cluster of storms. Are they going to develop into maybe some supercell type mode storms? It's a big question. Anytime I say supercell, think of a rotating thunderstorm. Normally those produce large hail and they have the chance to produce a tornado. So be careful with this. But even the NAM, you're getting into the evening hours and it just kind of turns whatever does form here in Kansas, Nebraska into just a bowing segment of line of storms. And then as it gets to well overnight until closer to midnight, kind of develops a line of storms. And in fact, let's back this up here. Let's come on and drop down into areas of Kansas right here. Y'all bear with me. And, it shows it early on. Maybe a supercell gets going here in areas that maybe a little bit further west in Kansas. But then it quickly kind of just goes into like a line of storms. There's nothing supercell in nature that forms from this. It really doesn't. You drop down to Oklahoma. I mean, it doesn't really have anything getting going here. I guess I can't find Oklahoma. But, these storms get going down here in Oklahoma, but there's no supercells that really get going. Nothing really takes fully advantage of the environment. There's Oklahoma. You look down here in Texas, not really anything going on except just a line of rain as you're getting into Saturday morning. So, you look at the dynamics in play. You look at temperatures. I mean, look, the temperatures are going to warm, especially, probably west of the dry line where you have a lot of dry air. Temperatures are going to spike well and get close to 100 in areas of Texas and Oklahoma and western areas of Oklahoma. But, just east of this dry line, where you're going to have more moist air in the area, you're going to really have a moist and warm environment. In fact, you look at dew points, you can tell how this dry line really sets up here as you're getting into about 5, 6, 7 p.m. Central time here. Look at these very dry, the dry dew points right here. Dew points ranging in the teens, the 20s. You get further back here in New Mexico, and obviously you have dew points in the single digits, even negatives. But you have this very dry desert air clashing against this very moist air right here. And this is occurring in Nebraska and Oklahoma and Kansas, all the way up into areas of Nebraska. So the clashing of two different air masses causes, a lot of dynamics to really be there. They're there, but that doesn't mean that they're going to cause some massive outbreak of severe storms, due to the fact that you have some big-time capping in this region right here, preventing significant updraft development, an outbreak of multiple supercells from forming. But any that do form, excuse me, guys, I'm sorry. Any that do form down here are probably just going to be very isolated in nature, meaning they're going to get to take advantage of all this energy right here along this dry line. These are CAPE levels, surface CAPE levels reaching well above 2,000, 25,000 joules per kilogram at the surface, CAPE-wise. So it's going to take advantage of all the CAPE, right? Just at the low levels of the atmosphere. Then in the upper levels of the atmosphere, mixed layer CAPE, there's just going to be a ton of energy to work with. It's just, can these updrafts get going? And if they do, it's going to be a very discrete storm mode, meaning any storm that does develop here in Oklahoma and up into Kansas and maybe even portions of Texas, they are not going to have any other storms fighting with it, probably, most likely. So if it does form, you're not going to have any storms that disrupts its inflow or anything like that, or going to get merged in with it. It's just going to probably be one or maybe two, maybe three massive supercells if they form down here. That's why you have an enhanced risk all the way down to Oklahoma. Yeah, there is a big question mark whether the storms form, but if they do, it's going to be a dangerous environment all the way down to Oklahoma City tomorrow afternoon and evening. So that's pretty much all I got on that. We'll give you another update tomorrow and really try to figure out what's going to happen. But going forward here, we got the Saturday threat, slight risk already up for Saturday, and we'll break that down in the coming days. And then we continue to have the threats for Sunday and Monday for not necessarily significant, but a chance for severe storms down here in the southern plains in the Texas and portions of Oklahoma as we get into our Monday. So that's all I got, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Sorry it was a little bit of a shaky video. Be honest, I'm tired, I'm worn down, and I'll be completely honest with you, because I'm always going to be. I'm kind of tired of talking about severe weather. It's I think I've mentioned it many times before. It's definitely my least favorite thing to talk about, because I feel like you just reiterate and repeat the same things. And obviously the audience, it gets kind of not necessarily old, but I know for me, I'm just ready to talk about something a little bit different. I love talking winter weather. As y'all know, I'm sure y'all saw, y'all remember how more energetic I was talking about winter weather. But tropics is going to be fun. Y'all will see a whole nother element of Mitch, that is for sure, when we're talking about breaking down the tropics. So anyways, we'll continue to keep you guys aware, keep y'all guys safe. But stay safe out there tonight, especially if you're in areas of Nebraska, maybe Kansas. But God bless all y'all. I'll give you an update in the morning, and y'all stay safe.